I am Patricia Polacco, and I love to write books. I love to illustrate books. I love being creative. I also love that kids can read my stories and it will help them in some way. They're either going to learn some history because I talk about my grandfather and my grandfather's grandmother and my grandfather's grandfather, and they're going to learn about what it means to be a kid who's having trouble in school. This is me when I was in school. I had a really hard time reading because I couldn't make the numbers and letters stay still on the page. So I wrote a book about it called Thank You, Mr. Fokker. Mr. Fokker was my teacher. So I put him in my book too. I have a picture of him right here. Mr. Fokker understood me and he helped me. He listened, he was gentle, he understood, and he helped me express myself and understand things in a way that I could read. It was so great. Then, once I started reading, I started writing, and I couldn't stop. I am still writing today. Let me show you some of my other books. This is Fiona's Lace, about my great-great-great-great-grandmother in Ireland. This is Babushka's Doll, about my other great-grandmother who was from Russia. And this is one called The Bee Tree, about my grandfather and how he used to get honey from trees. So I share all of these things that I knew in my life and that I had to be creative about. I had to tell my stories, and I hope that people read them and understand that they can be creative too, because being creative is a really great thing to be.
I'm here with Kool and Ronan Thapa, and we're here to talk about being creative. Being creative is a really good character trait. Being creative is something that makes America amazing because people are innovative. Japan, amazing. Other countries, amazing. People, amazing. Think about inventive things. Think about Thomas Edison. Think about people who came up with something just out of their heads, maybe even while they were sleeping, and they woke up and said, "Oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to do that." So what I wanted to ask Ronan is, I wanted to ask him, because I know he's an amazing Lego builder. I want to ask him, how does he come up with that idea when he starts to build something out of Legos? And was he always that way? Was he just born that way? What do you think, Ronan?
I don't really know, because when I create the Legos, I just get a random box and put them together, and I find the nice pieces, and I end up putting them together, making a certain creation.
Yes, and are you building a design, or do you have a thought of an animal or a building, or you just let the Legos fit where they fit?
I think the Legos just fit where they fit. I just don't have any idea. I just go into a box and find them.
Some of the examples that you build is often he worked with symmetry. So the spaceships that you like to build, we have some spaceship battles every once in a while. And his brother was into Lego, so whatever leftover pieces, he just puts it together.
Yes, I worked with this brother too, because I do the Lego program after school with the kids. So your dad said symmetry. So you build one half of the thing, and then you build the other half to match that?
Yeah.
Or you build it at the same time, but the designs are often very symmetrical, so it's like balanced in a way.
I usually just put it from the top to the bottom, because that's more easier.
And do you ever think about ideas of things you want to build when you're not building with Legos? Do you ever think, hey, I want to build this really cool thing?
I don't know. Sometimes I might.
Yes. So sometimes you might, or sometimes you just do it and it comes out of your mind as you're looking at the Legos?
Yeah.
Okay.
He has often talked about like inventing things. Some of them was like, what was that, fashion invention you talked about? He
It's
has
like
some ideas.
a jacket, and it actually secretly has a jetpack for secret agents to fly away into the skies.
And when you were a little guy, do you remember being creative and building things and thinking about things?
Yes, I remember I was about 6. That was when I got my first set of Legos. But I also grew up in Nepal in the village, so we didn't have electricity, running water. So we had to come up with working with just like wood. We would make toy guns at that time, but that may not be very cool. But we used to build little trucks out of the core of the banana plant. It's like
Very fibrous and tough.
yes, the
carve
outer
it?
yeah the outer part is it's like grass. It's kind of layers,
Yes.
but the inner core is like a palm heart.
Yes.
So it's kind of soft to cut. We use little knives and sickles to make into little cars and trucks. That's how we did, and we didn't have any. We couldn't easily buy balls, like tennis balls or what have you. So we would take pieces of old rags and then tied with like twine to make it into balls. That's how we played in the village in Nepal.
That is so cool. What did you want to say?
He also made bird traps.
Oh yeah, we tried to make bird traps, but it was more of a killing time thing. We never trapped anything, so we used to make little slabs of slate, with kind of set up with two little sticks, with like a little pieces of peas, berries sometimes, thinking that the bird would ever come to it, but it never did. It was just a fun activity for us, just being hopeful.
Right. Hopeful is part of being creative.
Sure.
Because when you have the plan, you think, hey, I'm going to make this thing. You don't know if it's going to work or not.
Yes.
But the character trait of being creative is part of what gets people to the invention that does work. So try and try again, right, Ronan? Yeah.
What if
I'm here with Chase, and Chase is going to tell us a little bit about what he does that is creative. Because I could tell just by seeing Chase around school and being in classroom with him that he's got that creative thing going on. So Chase, what do you do that's creative?
Well, there's like lots of things, but at home, my mom gave me these boxes, and then I just created a hotel.
Cool, a hotel. And then did you go in the hotel?
Yeah, you can go in the hotel, but you have to be like 5 or 6 because it's not really that big.
It's small. And did you make a bedroom to sleep in?
Well, really, I just put my iPad in there, like a TV, and then I just put a little couch.
So you have a TV and a couch. And do you have windows in your hotel?
I didn't really carve windows yet, but maybe I'll paint them, or maybe I'll just scissor them out.
And were you always building things and doing things that you probably play with Legos too, right?
Yeah, I play with Legos, and then I start being creative, and I'm also a music teacher because I have a drum set, 3 guitars, and a TV, a disco ball, an amplifier,
Because everyone should have one of those.
and CD player.
Well, thank you so much for telling us. You are creative in a musical way, in a building way. And do you write things or draw things too?
I make paintings, sometimes with paper. I made a menu yesterday with my counselors in the library. And
At the YMCA camp, right? At the after school. Okay.
I feel good.
That's awesome. So being creative makes Chase feel good. And that is a great thing to tell us. Thank you so much, Chase. That's great. I'm here with Kaiser and Chelsea and their mom, Laura. And we're going to talk about being creative because creative is a great character trait. So Kaiser, tell me what you do that's creative.
I usually build like coasters with Kennex. It's like plastic tracks that you can connect, and you can build like a certain coaster, but you can just build coasters that you want. And I think and sometimes you could actually connect 2 coasters together, which is never done before. And I also like building with Legos, like sometimes like I get with Legos and there's instructions, and I once built a helicopter
Wow.
out of Legos, but I wasn't finished yet. We just got like the first half done.
Yeah, sometimes it takes time. And I know my son built the thing that the instructions said, and then it sat there, and then he took it apart and built other things. Do you build other things after you finish building the thing from the instructions?
Not really.
Okay. So you like to build the thing, and then you look at it and you say, oh, that's so cool. And maybe you fly it around a little if it's a flying thing?
Actually, there's like one Lego set that you can actually make a thing fly with it, not with your hand. It's like a Ninja Go Split Jutsu thing.
Yeah.
Which is it's like a big propeller, and there's like a ninja guy sitting on a little, sitting in a little box that can get just like clip onto the propeller, and then you have to like build this thing that you pull with a little plastic thing that you pull, and then it just like spins, and then it just like takes off.
Wow, that's a lot of creating. So Chelsea, tell me what you make. You make things at home?
Yeah, my mom says I'm an artist and I like to draw, and I painted a picture of my little stuffed animal, Pink Bear.
Pink Bear. So how did you make pink? Did you have the color pink, or you had to mix the color pink?
I think I had the color pink.
And was it the right color pink?
I used any color pink.
Okay, because pink is pink, I guess. Okay, that's great. So you do some painting, and do you dance?
Yes, I used to go in a dance class, and I used to go in a gymnastics class. And now my brother goes in karate, and I want to sign up for karate too.
Yeah. And do you ever dance at home and you just make up dances?
Yeah, I sing and I dance.
That's what I thought.
And I also make little storybooks.
So when you make the storybook, do you write the story and draw the pictures?
I usually just draw the pictures and write the story.
Awesome. Thank you. And so, Mom, I would like to ask you, I'm guessing you're creative yourself in some way, besides creating these children. And how do you encourage kids to be creative?
We try to incorporate creativity into every aspect of what we do. My husband, I would actually have to say, takes more of the credit of being creative. He's the artist with the easel and the canvas drawing or paintings. And that's where she was talking about. She made a teddy bear on a canvas a painting for us, so that was great. But just anything that we can incorporate into, using the cardboard boxes or leftover containers to try to save them and make them into projects. And then, singing when we're talking, that's actually a really great way to redirect them is make up a song, especially if we want them to try to get ready for bed or get ready for school. So we try to definitely do that.
Thank you guys so much for your time and your creativity. And what we're trying to show here is being creative is a really great part of being a cool character and an interesting character, and it helps your mind when you're creative. If you just do the same boring thing all the time, that's not helping your mind. Why do we do this? Because creativity is part of having a good character, and character matters. I'm here with Michael Alfano, who is a Hopkinton resident, amazing sculptor, great dad, fabulous person in general. And our question is, why does he think being creative is part of having a good character? Obviously, he's creative, and we want to hear a little bit about what he thinks is good about being creative.
Well, being creative is really a very human trait, creating something brand new out of almost nothing. And so it's about really reorganizing stuff that existed, whether it's knowledge or education or whatever, to create whether it's a new invention or a new piece of artwork. So it really has to do with sometimes thinking outside of the box.
So when you did that picture where you had the can of paint and you had the person's face and then the paintbrush at the top, that would be kind of reorganizing structures that you already knew into something that's a new creation, a different way of looking at it, like that?
Yes, definitely. Really seeing this almost magical rising up of this dreamy face coming out of the can and just coming into existence.
Right. And the other thing that I love that you showed me recently is the man with the wheelbarrow who's got the city rising out of the wheelbarrow. So it's a you're putting two things together that you wouldn't normally see, a whole structure or a building coming out of the wheelbarrow, but it does sort of say something about the builder that, that's why you showed us that. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, that one is a very exciting piece, really seeing from the strength of his hands, the worker's hands, the city rising up out of the wheelbarrow and becoming a unified piece in itself, and the city just coming up all by itself and being complete.
Yeah, I thought that was a really exciting piece. And this is the foot that it's got a wing on it, sort of exemplifies the marathon and the finish line and the toes. Are these your toes?
They are.
We just,
a little bit bigger.
Yes. So can you tell us how you thought about this and how you sculpt and make a model of a foot from a real foot? How do you do that?
Well, I sculpt in clay, and then I make a mold and make a casting. This one is about 5 times over life size, and so it's very exciting, a lot of fun. One exciting, fun thing, we were working with the Boston Marathon and presenting it to the committee, and they were wondering, will this be strong enough? And so, being the playful, crazy person that I am, I decided to do some chin-ups and hang off of the wing of the foot. And there was this gasp in the room, and wow, we know that it is strong enough. And so that answered that question in a very, definitive way.
Right. And I actually tried to move it, and I could not. So I know it's very heavy as well. And you have some that are gold and black. There used to be one here. I'm not sure where it is now. And there's one over at the Arts Center, I know. Was that a pair? Is one a left foot and one a right foot, or are they both the same side?
No, they're both the same side.
Okay. So everything's a right foot.
That's correct.
Okay. Starting off on the right foot. I like it. All right. Well, we so appreciate your being a creative person in town. It's part of what makes Hopkinton special, having good character traits exemplified in the people that we have here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Freddie.
What, Piggy Wiggy?
You know what I heard?
What'd you hear?
I heard a story called Harold and the Purple Crayon.
A purple crayon?
Yeah, and this kid had a purple crayon and he was so bored and he said, oh, what can I do? And he started to draw.
Yeah, so I draw all the time. Is that interesting? What?
Oh, yeah, just listen. So he started to draw and he drew like a door and then he went through the door into a whole another village or something.
What? How did he do that?
Well, he used his imagination, and that's part of being creative.
Oh, so if I get a purple marker, I could draw something and then I could go into another place?
You can do anything with your imagination. That's what's being creative. You can think of anything you want. What? I'm Patricia Polacco, again. I just wanted to close by telling you some of the really special things that I learned as a child. This is my grandfather, and in this story, which is called The Bee Tree, my grandfather is talking about honey and how when you put a little bit of honey on a book, it makes it sweet to read. Let me read you what I wrote in the book. There is such sweetness inside of that book too. Such things, adventure, knowledge, and wisdom. But these things do not come easily. You have to pursue them. Just like we ran after the bees to find their tree, so must you also chase these things through the pages of a book. That is why I write books. I have stories in my head that I have to tell, and I am so lucky to be able to write them and draw the pictures so that I can create things for my readers. I hope you would be creative too. Think about whatever your story is in your head, write it down. Then you might think of some pictures you want to draw to go with it. Draw them. You might think of a dance you want to do that expresses a feeling. Dance it. You might think of food combinations that you want to cook. Cook them. Be creative. It's a great thing to be. It feels good inside when you express yourself. Why do we do this? Because creative is a good thing. So why is creative one of the character traits that is valuable to people? Why should people think out of the box, try new things, risk criticism for their creation? People like Thomas Edison had an idea about how to make a light bulb. That is creative. J.K. Rowling wrote her ideas for a new book on a napkin while she was at lunch at the Elephant Walk Cafe in London. Creative people add color and excitement to our world. Those who create are exploring new ways to use things, new combinations, new expressions, and all of that is great for those who view, use, hear, or feel those creations. If everything was just gray and utilitarian, useful, that wouldn't be fun, exciting, or stimulating to our brain. People need to be creative or have access or exposure to the things and inventions creative people come up with. Patricia Polacco was a child who had a hard time reading. She didn't do well in school until a kind and creative teacher helped her learn a way to make sense of the letters, and then she could read. If a teacher only taught one way, Patricia might have stayed frustrated and never blossomed into the talented book author illustrator she is today. That teacher, Mr. Fokker, had to think of how to reach Patricia and every other student he taught. Patricia Polacco wrote a book about her reading struggles and Mr. Fokker's efforts to help her. It is called Thank You, Mr. Fokker. Being creative is sometimes necessary in finding a solution to a challenge. Rowan and his dad, Cool, are creative people. I knew that Rowan was creative from his work in an after-school Lego building program and from his written work in school. He talked about thinking of ideas for his Legos and then building them. And then he does something different with them after he builds it the first time. Part of what makes Rowan a creative and happy person is that he thinks of making new things and figuring out how to build what he envisions in his mind. That makes him happy. Rowan's dad, Cool, is also creative. Cool works with computer programs and creative solutions to challenges with making the program do what he wants or needs it to do. He has the idea first, then makes it work. That's Cool. Chase is a creative guy who has a great imagination. He uses his imagination when he plays with Legos and also with his friends if he makes up games. Chase does different things with the Legos from the directions because he is creative and thinks of new ways to use the Legos. Kazar, his sister Chelsea, and their mom Laura talked with us about their creative fun with boxes after they moved into their new house. It sounds like they made a city in their living room and had a great time imagining the rooms and places they were crawling through. You don't need fancy toys to have a good time. You just need a creative mind. Albert Einstein even said that being in quiet is when he was most creative because the quiet gave him time to think without distraction. I think if we put the cell phones and computers away and used our brain to create games, that would be a good thing and a good think. Get it? Michael Alfano showed us some of his amazing and creative sculptures and told us of how he likes to have fun in his art. His foot sculpture has a wing on it, very meaningful and imaginative, and it's his foot that he used for the model. His stroke of genius sculpture shows the paintbrush coming out of the paint can and forming a face along the way. I love the builder sculpture, showing us a man pushing the wheelbarrow in which are the buildings that he hopes to create, starting with the materials he has in the wheelbarrow. These sculptures are imaginative, creative, and inspire us to think, maybe even to make sculptures that we might want to do. Michael included a quote by Rumi, a philosopher poet from India, who said, "Let the beauty we love be what we do." This is similar to a quote that I have always remembered by Joseph Campbell, "Follow your bliss." So what makes you happy, what feels good to you, is what you should do. And a lot of that is our creativity in our head. Our puppets, Reddy, Freddy, and Piggy Wiggy, talked about a book called Harold and the Purple Crayon. In this story, Harold imagines that he can create anything with his purple crayon, and he does. Being creative is being true to the imagination inside you and expressing those thoughts, ideas, creations, and compositions. We create in music, song, visual arts of many kinds, gardening, dance, cooking, fabric arts, construction, jewelry making, computer programming, and so many more. I don't know who said it, but I love this saying, if you can think it, you can do it. The idea for a creation comes from inside you, as Steve Jobs and Mike Alfano said. So you take what you know and express it in your own unique way. That is being creative, and being creative is a good character trait to have. Express yourself.